The present continuous tense refers to expressions such as I'm swimming in the swimming pool or Jason is building a castle out of sand. One of the most frequently asked questions about this tense is what's the difference between the present continuous and the simple present? Both tenses can refer to actions that are happening right now, as in John dribbles or John is dribbling. But the distinction seems unclear. Some say the difference lies in the duration of the action. If the action is long enough to establish some kind of duration, you say John is firing a weapon. And if the action is not long enough, you say John fires a weapon. However, you often see the simple present tense used with actions that have durations, as in John dribbles. If you look closely, you will notice that the difference has more to do with the dual meaning of the simple present tense than it has to do with the duration of the action. Since the other meaning of the simple present refers to permanent conditions, using the simple present may cause misunderstanding sometimes. Hence, native speakers tend to use the simple present in situations in which what you refer to is right in front of you, and there is no room for misunderstanding. Such situations include sport events, storytelling, or demonstrations. For the rest of the cases, native speakers prefer the present continuous to avoid misunderstanding. We'll deal with this issue later in this video. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to use be+ing correctly, tell you the meaning of the present continuous tense in detail, tell you the difference between the present continuous tense and the simple present tense, and tell you the verbs that should not be used with the present continuous tense. Now, this video is a sequel to this video, which explains how the tense system works in general. If you want to know more about tenses, please check it out. Anyway, let's begin. The present continuous tense uses a special verb form, be+ing. Let's first look at what the ing form of verbs, also known as the present participle, is. Every verb can be changed into multiple forms. To express the past time, the verb changes into the past form. To create a noun, the verb changes into a gerund. To express continuous tenses or to create an adjective, the verb changes into a present participle. And to express perfect tenses or to create an adjective, the verb changes into a past participle. Since we're talking about the present continuous tense, we're interested in this guy. So, how do we make a present participle? The dictionary tells us how to make one. Usually, you add ing after the verb. There are some exceptions though. If the word ends with an e, drop e and add ing. If the word ends with an ie, drop ie and add ying. Lastly, if you have a verb whose structure is consonant, vowel, consonant, double the last letter and add ing. Now, let's see how we use be+ing in a sentence. If I want to transform the sentence, I have dinner into the be+ing form, first insert the verb be in front of the verb have. If the subject is I, change be into am. If the subject is you, they, we, then change it into are. If the subject is he, she, it, Tom, then change it into is. Since the subject is I in this sentence, I'll change be into am. Secondly, you change the original verb have into its ing form having, and you're done. Be aware that the be verb can be contracted as the following in informal settings. Now, let's move on to the meaning of the present continuous. The basic meaning of the present continuous tense refers to an action or state that is ongoing, unfinished at the present moment. For instance, if you say, my cat is driving the car, you mean your cat is in the middle of driving and the driving is not finished yet. However, depending on the context, there may be 3 additional meanings to this tense. They're not that important because they're all implied in the basic meaning. However, since grammar books love to make a fuss about them, let's take a look at them. The first meaning refers to an action unfinished at the present moment. This makes sense because ongoing implies unfinished. So if you say I am studying to become a lawyer, you mean you are on a learning journey to become a lawyer and the journey is not finished yet. It doesn't mean that you're studying with your books right now unless you really are having your books out. The second meaning refers to a temporary action. This also makes sense because in English you have the simple present tense to express something permanent. So if you deliberately chose the present continuous tense over the simple present tense, then you're implying that something is temporary. For instance, I live with my parents means you live with your parents in the past, live with them now, and likely to live with them in the future. However, I am living with my parents implies that the action is temporary. The third meaning refers to a frequently happening action. This meaning only applies when you have words like always, constantly, or forever in the sentence. For instance, Jason is always saving the company in hard times means that Jason is frequently saving the company. Alright, let's let's move on to the difference between the present continuous tense and the simple present tense. The simple present tense refers to expressions such as Jason dribbles the ball or I like sandwiches. The simple present tense has two meanings. One refers to something permanent and the other refers to something happening right now. On the other hand, the present continuous tense refers to what is happening right now. Hence, there's an overlap of meaning between the two tenses. How do we choose between the two? Grammar books spend days explaining the difference. But to put it simply, you only use the simple present tense when the thing is right in front of you and there's no room for misunderstanding. For the rest of the cases, you choose the present continuous tense. Why is this so? It is because the dual meaning of the simple present tense can cause misunderstanding. Since the other meaning of the simple present tense refers to something permanent, you need to have the thing right in front of you in order to prevent misunderstanding. Here's what I mean. Take the sentence, he's mean. Since the simple present tense has two meanings, it can either mean that he's permanently mean or it can mean that he's being mean only at this moment. However, if you say he is being mean, there's no room for misunderstanding. For this reason, the simple present tense is most commonly used in cases in which what's being talked about is right in front of the speaker and listener. For instance, at sport events, as in Jason dribbles and shoots. In storytelling, as in Achilles fights head-on with Hector. Or in demonstrations, as in you press the button and pull the lever. In other cases, people use the present continuous tense. Alright, let's move on to the last important part about the present continuous, the stative verbs. The present continuous tense cannot be used with stative verbs such as these ones. For instance, if you say, I am knowing how to count up to 3, you would be wrong. Let me explain why. Stative verbs usually describe permanent conditions that once hold true will always hold true without any change in degree. For instance, English speakers think that if you came to know how tasty Nutella is, then you know it now and will always know it in the future without any change in degree. Hence, they think it is nonsense to use the present continuous to describe these conditions as continuing at a certain point. What that means is, if you're using stative verbs to describe a permanent condition, you should not use them with the present continuous. The following sentences are all wrong. Instead, you must change the verbs into the simple present as in these sentences. However, there are cases in which stative verbs are used with the present continuous, mostly in informal settings, as in these sentences. Though the usage is not grammatically correct in a strict sense, the usage is quite convenient for daily conversation. Let me tell you why. Although stative verbs refer to permanent conditions, some of these conditions have a close relationship with active mental activities. Hence, many people just regard them as action verbs, which is the opposite of the stative verbs. This way, they don't have to worry about avoiding the continuous tenses. For instance, although the stative verb hate refers to a permanent condition of not liking something, the verb is closely related to the mental activity of disliking something. So if you regard hate as an action verb, then you don't have to worry about avoiding the continuous tenses. I think this is quite convenient. But again, these expressions are not grammatically correct in a strict sense, so use these expressions with caution. Alright, this is it for the present continuous tense. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section and hit subscribe for more English lessons. It was nice having you. Please check out the videos on other tenses and goodbye.